But what we've seen from Cowboy, or what we did see from Cowboy in this fight is, sure, he can still have entertaining fights, but his ability to pull away late, meaning Nico Price won the first round. Even in his prime, Cowboy Cerrone was a slow starter. He tended to lose the first round anyway. Good example is the Eddie Alvarez fight. Eddie put it on him in that first round. And then Cowboy came back in the second and third and really put distance between him and Eddie and ended up winning that fight. His ability to kind of hit fifth gear in the second and third round isn't quite there. Yes, he outworked Nico Price in the third round. Not by a whole lot, not by a ton. And it didn't get started until the third round. 3-round fights, you need that second round. And so his ability to kind of like hit the gas and pull away, right? It used to be boom, he was gone. Now it's kind of like, okay, like, you know, he pulled ahead in the third round, but it wasn't a dramatic pull away and it didn't start early enough. Also, what I noticed, his combinations, and the word that just occurred to me, that popped into my head as I was watching, is they weren't crisp. He was landing good punches sometimes, and he was, you know, caught Nico Price coming in, all stuff. They weren't sharp, crisp shots. They were more like boom, rather than crack, these nice turned over punches he used to throw. And especially that head kick. He would throw it at Nico Price all the time. And Price could see it, at least get some defense up there, but it was more of a slapping kick. It wasn't like the one he threw against Rick Story, for example, that was bow, bow, snap, really turned over and really accurate. They were kind of slappy kicks he was throwing. So that sharpness of his attack wasn't there. They weren't the oh man, if that lands, you're in trouble. You got the feeling that a couple of those could have landed on Nico Price and he would have been all right. So those are the two things missing, is that pacing-wise, he always pulled away from guys after the first round, and he didn't really do that. And then the snapping, sharp strikes that would keep a guy like Nico Price away or put him away weren't there either. So Price was running into some punches, but they weren't fight-finishing punches. They weren't really damaging shots. So Cerrone, as apparently said, he's taking the rest of the year off, understandably, and he wants a rematch with Nico Price. He felt he lost that fight. And, you know, he did lose the fight. He just, the eye pokes equalized things. But this was the kind of guy and the kind of situation that the old Cowboy Cerrone would have done well against. And, you know, got a draw out of it, but he was the inferior fighter that night. So, we'll see if you can right the ship. You can only do this so many times, folks. Like, you can only, as we will see in the finale, you can only kind of summon those vintage performances so many times before it's like, look, that ship sailed. You're a different fighter now. Speaking of Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley, look, I picked Colby Covington to win. They looked like they had in their last few fights. Colby Covington had a lot of volume and a lot of pressure, a consistent takedown. And Tyron Woodley looked like he didn't want to be there. And he looked disinterested. And he didn't look athletic. He didn't look sharp. He didn't look good in any facet of the game. In any facet of the game. Colby Covington looked like Colby Covington. Tyron Woodley looked like this recent Tyron Woodley, not the guy who won the title. So people who wanted Colby Covington to lose and Tyron Woodley to win, mostly because they were disgusted with Colby Covington's politics, understandably. But I was talking to somebody, I think somebody from ESPN, and about breaking this fight down, and they said, man, I hope Colby Covington loses. And I said, I don't get paid to hope. I get paid to tell you guys who's going to win and tactically how things are going to go. I don't get paid to be optimistic about the fighter I want to win or anything like that. I don't take that personally. So, and there was no reason to believe Tyron Woodley was going to win this fight. As I said with Cowboy, you don't just reach back and become the fighter you once were because you really don't like a guy. I mean, his fans were hoping, people who didn't like Colby were hoping that we suddenly, for some reason, got a guy that hasn't shown up in 10 rounds. But there's no reason to believe that logically. There's no reason to believe that with your head. You can believe that with your heart, but there's no, last two fights he's looked awful, and this fight he looked awful. So that's the way it goes. Now, Colby Covington's getting a lot of praise for this fight, but I don't know. Colby looked like Colby. Colby didn't do anything particularly special. He looked like he always does against a guy who has really looked terrible in his last few fights. So does it get him a title shot? Probably. There might be one more in there. So he just did everything wrong from the beginning, and I don't want to see Tyron Woodley fight ever again. I really don't. Even if he could get a mid-level guy or something like that, it's like, okay, you've lost 14 rounds in a row, and you're on your way to losing 15 when you got a rib injury. That's an unprecedented run at the elite level. 14 rounds on all 3 judges' scorecards. I don't know if I've ever seen that. 14 rounds in a row on all 3 judges' scorecards. I've never. That's crazy. Tyron Woodley's done.
I wanted Woodley to pull the trigger a lot more in the first 2 rounds. He just didn't.
I told you he wouldn't.
Yeah, I know. I had hopes he would. But
yeah, hopes.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen. You don't change from being this person that all of a sudden, we change as fighters, going from, okay, we're dominating, we're doing great things, and then all of a sudden it starts to change a little bit. And then it doesn't change back to, we're back.
Yeah.
It's very rare to see anything like that. And you could see in his fight against Usman, his fight against Burns, it's just not there. He doesn't pull the trigger. And he used to have, I always looked at Tyron as not being just fast. He had the ability to anticipate and take advantage of situations. When he got into that point where he was fighting well and he was beating, like he knocked out Josh Koscheck, and then he was trying to think of the guys he was beating before he beat Robbie Lawler. Man, he was so good at anticipating what they were doing, and then he would throw that right hand and it would land with power. And he's not throwing now because he's not anticipating. He's waiting, and then he's waiting, and the time goes by, and his opponent's now attacking him, and all he's thinking about is defense instead of countering what's occurring and making his opponent pay for that approach and that attack. I want you to now pay for it. They're not paying. He's the one paying. You watched him tonight. I'm sitting there watching with my wife. I said, watch Colby. Watch Colby attack, and watch that Tyron will not throw anything back. And he did it time after time after time. You can't win a fight like that.
Yeah.
You're just letting the time tick off on the clock, and what you don't throw is never going to knock anybody out.
I was surprised he didn't fight him more like he fought Robbie Lawler. He got right up into Robbie Lawler's grill and just started going after him and going after Robbie, making him throw big punches until Robbie just tried to pick and choose his shots. Whereas T. Wood, I thought he would do the same thing that he did to Robbie. I thought he would do it to T. Wood. He didn't. He fought a very safe fight.
Yep,
and
he did.
He was very safe. His punch output wasn't anywhere near what it was in the Robbie Lawler fight.
Yeah, hold on. The one round, I think it was 113 strikes to 2.
Yeah.
113
I'm not saying it's
to 2.
not a lot, but I'm saying like his output in the Lawler fight was
before that
enormous.
finish, you take a look. Tyron didn't win a round.
Yeah.
And you could say that he lost the 4th round 10-8.
If you were the smaller guy, you were unlikely to win the striking battle. Your punches just aren't going to hurt. They're just not going to hurt the bigger guy as much. This is not only theoretically, this is logically speaking as well. He threw one punch tonight that landed. He put down the bigger guy. That's scary. I mean, we have very limited information on this guy. We know that he's a purple belt, but we know that he calls himself Khabib 2.0. We saw 2 fights that he had. He kind of looked like Khabib 2.0. Went out, tackled the guy, intertangled his legs, busy, cardio's real good, punch a lot, bludgeon him, get out of there. Okay, great. But you're going to assume, based on the evidence that is before you, that he's not going to be able to handle himself on his feet. Yeah, it's just the assumption you're going to make until you're proven wrong. And that usually takes a period of time to be proven wrong. GM3 came out with a very good game plan to avoid those takedowns from happening, which is instead of standing in front of Chimaev or backing up from Chimaev and running into the fence, he circled. Well, when he's circling the whole time, Chimaev was looking for the takedown. He's, oh man, I can't take this guy down. If he's circling this way, how am I going to take him down? Throws a big right hand instead. Set up with a kick, throws a right hand, touched him one time, put him down. Out of there in 17 seconds. Is it momentum? Has he caught a hot hand? Is he on a roll? Sure. All those things are very possible. Is he just this good? That's also very possible. I will suggest for you the buck stops at Damian Maia no matter who you are. Now that doesn't mean that Khamzat can't beat Damian Maia. But the buck stops there. Damian Maia does not have bad nights. He does not come out cold. He does not come out not ready. He does not come out in shape. He does not come out ready to do everything. So if Chimaev can get over on Damian Maia, come hook or crook, but if he can steamroll Maia, I feel like we're having a whole other conversation.